pardon.
Well, you act like you don't know how to ask nicely.
I did ask you nicely.
Yeah, with a whole insult after that,
No, I
and a
didn't.
mouthful since then. So.
No, you bringing up stuff that happened weeks ago.
We on air, so.
Because it's still not here. Weeks later. Let's not talk about what's weeks ago.
Sit down, man.
Weeks later, it's still not here.
Can we get started now?
You ready?
How you?
Sabbath peace.
Sabbath.
It's another opportunity for us to hear and learn and learn. It's another opportunity for us to hear and learn of the word of truth that's given to us by the Most High God. All honor goes to the Father through the Son, whose name is Yahushua. In him lies the only hope for salvation. We know that it is obtained by grace through faith, not of works, lest anyone should boast, and given freely as a gift to all who obey him. We understand that if we do not obey him, it is made manifest or made obvious that we do not believe. In this state, we should expect no good thing from the Most High. However, anything that we do get, whether it be a gift of tongues, a gift of prophecy, or any supernatural experience that we may have, it can and it will be used against us in the day of judgment. That said, peace to the saints that are in the room, to the saints that couldn't make it. But no peace to the wicked. The only thing we say to them is repent that they might live. That boy like he got two black eyes. That boy look tired.
Yeah.
You sleepy? You sleepy? Go sleep. You look sleepy. Let's go ahead and let me try to see here. What were we talking about last week? We were talking about Ezekiel. All right, remember we were talking about Ezekiel. We went through some of his prophecies and how the Most High God made him act out some things, even to the point where his wife was taken from him as a signal to our people that our temple would be taken for us, because that was the, you know what I'm saying, that was the pride of our eye. That's what we looked at, you know, that was what was lovely to us, you know what I'm saying. Most High God took that thing away from us so quick, and he said, you know what, don't even cry about it. He couldn't even cry about his wife dying right on him, unexpected. All right, so we looked at that, and we kind of looked at that as an example, and we kind of compared that, like, okay, well, we sinners in the Most High God, most of us, right? The average of us, we just sin against the Most High God, and then we look at him with contempt, as if God should be in contempt when he takes somebody from us, right? Like God did something to us when he took somebody from us. When we see his standard is, he'll take something from a man of God just to show the people something, right? So it makes once we understand who God is and his character, it forces us to redefine some things. Remember, Satan always gets us with definitions, right? We got the word, right? We had the understanding, we got the message, we got everything we need to live. So the only place that he can attack is the definition. Once you got the word, the only way, you know what I'm saying, you know what the word is. It's very clear what the word is. The only part that's changed is the definition. If I can tell you that word don't mean what it is, that's the only way, because there's no way to confuse the word, because we had a word, right? So for the people that actually look at the word, once you got it, his attack is, okay, well, let me change the definition. For the people who don't even look at the word, he can just tell you anything, because you ain't got nothing to validate. You just believe what you want to believe. All right? You believe something and ain't no word behind it, you just believe what you want to believe. He already got your butt. Right? But when you got the word, you look at the word, you're like, okay, I know this word is there. So the only thing he tried to attack at that point is, okay, well, definition. Right? When you read grace, you know what I'm saying? I was talking to a young lady today on Facebook. She asked a question. She is like, please explain three things: the law, grace, and sin. Right? Asked it openly to a group. It's a group usually I don't respond, but I just so happened when I was at work and had a little bit of free time, just so happened to see law, grace, sin. I was like, who asked me about that? So I looked at it and I was like, oh. Then I looked, as soon as I'm looking, somebody left a comment. Just mucked it all up. I mean, just made a darn mess of it. I forgot what he said. I mean, just made a darn mess of it. I said, oh, I can't let this slide. So I jumped in there. I was like, all right, very simple. Now I try to keep it as simple as possible. Try to make it succinct. The law is the law of Moses. It is good, holy, and righteous. You know what I'm saying? Grace. Grace is an opportunity to become righteous. And then sin is transgression of the law. Yahushua came to remove that transgression, thereby giving us grace. Therefore, sin becomes transgression of Yahushua's commandments. There you go. She come back. So what's the difference of saying grace is not a pardon, or grace is, pretty much grace is a pardon? That don't make sense, is what she said. So I'm like, and what do you see in the Bible or what I said anywhere about grace being a pardon? Like, none of that says pardon. She is like, okay, well, explain the difference. Okay. I was like, I'll try to put this even more simply. I was like, this is, what is it, Titus? Titus, what is it, Titus 2?
Titus 2.
Yeah. He said the grace of God, he said, the grace of God that appeared to all men, that brings salvation, teaches us to deny ungodliness, right? And live holy and righteous. So we look at that and we say, okay, well, it's very clear with the grace of God. The grace of God is teaching us to be righteous, right? So I was like, that's that definition. So I was like, now let me explain the difference for you in like terms that you might be able to understand better. I was like, I'm going to give you 2 examples. Example 1, man commits a crime, man sees a judge, man is convicted, then President of the United States pardons him. He no longer has anything on his record. He is completely forgiven and gone away. There was no requirement of anything of his. I was like, that's a pardon. And that's beautiful. And that's what these Christians will sell to you. But let me give you example 2. Man commits a crime. Man sees the judge. Man has a lawyer. Lawyer says, I worked out a deal with the judge because I have a great relationship with this judge. Right? How would these lawyers do? All these lawyers, they just friends with the judge and everything. So I work out a deal with the judge. I got a great relationship with him. If you do these things, we can remove this from your record. You won't get no points on your driver's license or what have you. You won't have, you know what I'm saying? You just take the class, stay out of trouble for 6 months. Whatever the case may be, I'll work out that deal with you. And then at the end of that deal, I'll remove all this stuff from your records. It'll be like it never happened. However, if you don't do it, your butt going to jail, or your butt going to have a felony, or your butt going to be on probation, or your butt going to have this, or your whatever it is. Those are the conditions. I said, now that is grace. She didn't say nothing about it. The problem is people ask questions, they don't want to hear the answer to them. Right? They already set up, they already set their mind for what they're going to hear, for what they're going to understand, for what they're going to accept. You hear something that make a little bit of sense. If you're not really looking for it, that thing go in one ear and out the other, and that's fine. The whole point that we got is we have to stop people in their tracks. They can't keep just spreading these lies. Can't keep just saying this stuff and it go uncorrected, or ain't nobody gonna say nothing to them. You ask a question, I'm gonna answer it. All right, I'm gonna answer it to the best of my ability. All right, that's just how I go. Otherwise, you just get a whole bunch of people that's what Kanye's problem is. It's very likely, right? It's very likely that Kanye is in a position where he really, really, really is looking for something, right? It's very likely. But the problem is, it ain't nobody anywhere near him or anybody that can get access to him that's going to tell the man the truth about the Most High God. So he going to spend all this time trying to be a Christian, which he's excelling at when it comes to be a Christian. That man's the Christian of Christians. And his butt going to end up right darn in hell. Because what you going to do? When has there ever been any promise given to a Christian? Specifically. You can't find one. There's nothing in the book. All right? There's nothing in the book that's going to tell you, you know what I'm saying, this is how a Christian should walk, or this, that, and another. It's something given to the Most High God's people. Right? There are signals for us. There are signs for us. We've been sealed. You know what I'm talking about? But if you don't know the word, you don't know how to identify it. It ain't like we got a stamp on our forehead. We got a stamp on our spirit. Let's see. Grab 2 Timothy chapter 2. It's 2 Timothy chapter 2. Give me verse 15. They'll be like, yeah, well, you can't tell who gonna go and who not gonna go. I'm telling you, that's a lie. You just don't believe the book. I'm not about to sit here and play with these people. You got Hebrews that's moved by what Kanye is doing. Hebrews is sitting out there like, yeah, man, y'all don't knock it off.
Right, any other time, y'all hate Christians.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't knock it off. We don't cut no side deals. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way to come in other than straight and narrow. You got to come right through the darn middle and knock at the door. That's it. You try to come any other way, you a thief and you a robber. That was the book say. I ain't say it. It's 2 Timothy chapter 2, this verse 15.
Study to show yourself approved unto God.
He said, study to show yourself approved unto the Most High God.
A workman that needs not to be ashamed.
Right? I'm a workman, and I don't need to be ashamed. Right? Can't nobody put me to shame. That's the goal. Right? When it comes to this word, the goal of the word is, whatever I lay out there as a teacher, right? Because he's talking to Timothy as a teacher. Whatever I lay out there as a teacher, the goal is nobody can come up behind me and put me to shame. Right? What I'm teaching is pristine. What I'm teaching is correct. That's the goal. Does that mean that we always gonna feel like I've been wrong before? But that don't stop my goal. The problem is these Christians try to make you feel like, oh, he's just arrogant because he just believes it. But that's the goal. I'm not about to learn from nobody and be like, oh, well, no, chances are I'm wrong. I ain't about to sit here and learn from you. That's crazy. Prove it out. And I ain't about to learn somebody sit here and tell I'm always right. I'm going to learn from the person that every time they prove it out, it's there. Every time they open up that book, it's there. And when it ain't there, I'm going to learn from the person and be like, oh, yeah, you're right, it ain't there. Right? You gotta have some honesty, some transparency. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse what, 16?
Rightly dividing the word of truth.
Right, that book say rightly dividing the word of truth. What does it mean by that?
Rightly dividing the word of truth. You gotta know what you're doing.
Right, so
yeah. Line upon line.
Yeah, just like we read in Isaiah. He said, here a little, there a little, right? Line upon line, precept upon precept. That's dividing it, right? It's rightly dividing it. It's not just dividing it, making a mess. A lot of people just make a mess, just split it apart. Oh, and the Lord said, all that just making a mess. It's rightly dividing. Okay, this part goes with this. Let me divide that, put that over here. Okay, this part, that goes with this part way over here. It's putting together the puzzle. The Most High God intentionally made this like a puzzle so that when we get it, we don't understand it. We look at it, we don't get it. It's like somebody speaking another language to us. So somebody has to come along and say, okay, all this goes here. This over here goes with this. These two look like they go together, but they don't. They actually go over here and over here, and then put a new picture together based off of the Most High God's word. A lot of people don't know that's how you understand the book. You can't just read it all the way through and just get it. I mean, you can, but that's not how it's written. All right? Keep going.
But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness.
Mm-hmm.
And their word will eat as does a canker. And whom is Hymenaeus and Philetus, who concerning the truth has erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and overthrow the faith of some.
All right, look how he called people out specifically. All right, Christians don't like that. You get to call people out specifically. That ain't God like to try to, you know what I'm saying? You try to just make them, trying to make nobody. I just want y'all to know who lying and who not. Yeah, I'm going to call them out specifically. These people are liars. Keep going.
Nevertheless, the foundation of God stands sure, having this seal, that the Lord knows them that are his. And let everyone that names the name of the Messiah depart from iniquity.
Right? So everyone, read that part again for me. Everyone what?
The foundation of God stands sure, having this seal. Right?
The foundation of the Most High God, that means the bottom of it. The part that supports everything else. Right? That's what the foundation is. The foundation means this is the basic part. This is what supports everything else. You can't put nothing else on here without this. Right? The foundation, the bottom line of it is this.
The Lord knows them that are his.
The Lord knows them that are his. So you know what that go to? When people say, well, you don't know. God knows. God knows my heart. God gonna have to judge me. That's what they're talking about. That's true. God does know your heart. God is gonna have to judge you. So that's one of the foundation. Right? Let's start from the beginning. The foundation what?
Foundation of God stands sure, having this seal.
Having this seal. Right? So the seal is the Most High God knows. He knows who's gonna make it, who's not gonna make it. But what else?
The Lord knows them that are his.
Mm-hmm.
And let everyone that names the name of the Messiah depart from iniquity.
That's the seal. Right? Those two things. Most High God know, they ain't got nothing to do with us. Right? We can't figure that out. Most High God know, we don't know. Right? But the second part that's a seal is let everyone that names his name depart from iniquity. And that's how you know. If Kanye don't depart from iniquity, I don't have time. Well, I mean, he stopped cussing. He didn't cuss the whole album. That's a good job. I appreciate it. That's a good job. Right? That man do a lot of cussing. I appreciate it. That's a good job. Even in his interviews, he said a cuss word, but only in reference. Right? He said it like in reference to talking about something else. You know what I'm saying? Like quoting. Okay. That's a good job too. You know what I'm saying? He didn't like arbitrarily just cuss. Okay, for sure. That's a good job too. Cross is all over the album. Cross is on him. Cross is in all his artwork. I got that. I got that. Oh, you just being petty. No, you not taking the word serious enough. Right? Man tell you no idolatry. I don't know what that means to you. Idolatry if you don't take it serious. You got these people driving around with Buddhas all in they got them on their desk at my job. They got Buddhas all. I walk past some of these cars, they got Buddha right there on the dashboard or whatever little thing it is on the dashboard. I was like, oh, you think these people ride with that in their car because they're not serious? You ask somebody, be like, oh, no, that's just, just another. We got a friend that, they got one hanging from a darn chest. Right? It's like, what is that? It's like, nah, it's just, it's just a family heirloom. Okay. You keep running your darn mouth. Let a Christian see a Buddha hanging, what they gonna say? Idolatry. You ask them people about it, they be like, oh, nah, man, it's just a family thing. Did a Christian have a cross hanging from their chest? What I'm gonna say? Idolatry. Ask that Christian about it, be like, oh, no, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. Everybody's saying the same thing. Who draws the line? Draw the line right where the book at. All right? That's a seal. It's all about being sealed. Right? The Most High God is going to come through, and He's going to look, He's going to send a man, and the man, hey, hush! He's going to send a man, and the man going to have to come, He's going to have to chop us all up. Right? So at the end of the day, we have to look at it and say, who's sealed and who's not? Because grab Ezekiel chapter 9. It's Ezekiel chapter 9. Give me verse 1. Go in the room, boy. It's Ezekiel chapter 9. Give me verse 1. It's important to understand the seal. The Lord knows those that are His, and everyone who names His name, depart from iniquity. You have to turn from sin. It's not even an option. That's a seal. Right? You're not sealed if that's not the case. That thing don't even make sense. You just playing darn patty cake. It's Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1.
He cried also in my ears with a great loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near.
He said, cause them who have charge over the city to draw near. Come here. Right?
Every man with his destroying weapon in his hand.
Right? Everybody who got a weapon. Come on here. Let me show you something.
And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lies toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. Mm-hmm. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side.
That's right.
And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar.
Right? One of them had something to write with. Right? 6 men popped up. All of them had weapons. And one of them had something to write with. Right? Watch this.
And the glory of the Lord, of the God of Israel, was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. Mm-hmm. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. Mm-hmm. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, to the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Right? He looked for a certain behavior. He said, look around for the ones that sigh and cry because of all of the behavior, all of the stuff that's going on around here. Right? Look for the ones that upsets them. You remember we were reading about one of our kings. What was his name? Josiah.
Josiah. Remember Josiah? He came in, they read the book to the man, and the man just broke down. Ripped his shirt, and he is looking like, oh, I can't believe, like, this is exactly why we in this. And the Most High God came back to him, he said, because it hurt you. Right? You felt the word, and because it hurt you, it moved you. He's like, I'm going to leave you alone. Your kids, not so much. But you, I'm going to leave alone. Right? That's important for us. The Most High God is looking for the, like, we can't be sitting out here just cool with all this stuff going on. This stuff should bother us. We can't be around, and I ain't necessarily talking about the people, right? I'm talking about what's going on across the street, right, in these churches, right? When people name God, that stuff's supposed to get under our skin. When they sit there and be like, oh yeah, no, I serve God, and they try to act like they talking about our God, that's supposed to be like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. We're not supposed to be numb to that. We're not supposed to be like, oh, well, whatever. That stuff's supposed to anger us. It's supposed to get under our skin. It's supposed to make us like, no, that's not it. Right? That's why we feel this way. Keep going. He said, put a mark on them.
Of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in my hearing, Go after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children, and
women and children.
But come not near any man upon whom is the mark.
But don't you touch somebody who got a mark. You know, it's another word for mark.
Seal.
A seal. That's how it's gonna be in the end. The Lord knows who those are is, and anybody who name his name, they're gonna depart from iniquity. That's a seal. Don't touch them. We ain't gotta go to Revelation, but Revelation lets you know. Right? 144,000 sealed. Can't touch them. That's a book. What you gonna do with it? Can't touch them. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Give me 2 Peter. It's 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Try to shoot through this real quick. Second Peter chapter 2, verse 2. Chapter 2, 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1.
But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction.
All right, this is what they're doing right now. People think, when people read this, this is what they think. Oh yeah, it's going to be people that bring in damnable heresies. All right? They don't realize a heresy is what?
Denomination.
Just a denomination.
Faction.
Right? It's just a denomination. So I'm a Christian. What kind of Christian are you? Oh, I'm a Pentecostal, Second-day Adventist Christian. What is that? What are you talking about? Where have you ever even heard of a Christian, first of all? Then after you get done past that, where's any of this in the Bible? Well, the word Pentecostal is in there. Oh, please, cut that out and get away from me. Right? But that's what these people think, and they try to justify this stuff, and it don't work. That's a heresy. Okay, so what's damnable mean?
Doom.
That means you're going to hell. So that means a heresy that's going to send people to hell. I wonder if we have any of those. How about all of them? Every last one of them. How about that? Let's just say people out there is like, are all Christians going to hell? I won't necessarily go that far. I don't know, right? I won't go that far, right? But let me tell you one thing for sure. Are you a part of a Christian denomination? Right? That's important, right? Do you call yourself like Baptist or anything? Like if you're a part of a denomination? If you are, yes, all those Christians are going to hell. Maybe there's like some segment of Christians out there that just call themselves Christians, obey the book, this, that, and other. That's fine, right? Because the book does say that they called the disciples Christians, right? So a case may be made that Christian is not considered a denomination. Fine. I'm not about to argue back and forth that. You take your chances with it. All I'm saying is, let me tell you what's for sure. As soon as you make yourself a denomination, a faction, as soon as you separate yourself from other people who claim to be looking at the Bible, and you do that by something made up, and it's not based off of the truth, that's wrong. The only thing that's supposed to separate you is righteousness. Right? We easily separate it. You know why? We obey the book. We look at the book. These people, ain't nobody gonna mistake us. They ain't gonna, not for long at least. Ain't nobody gonna mistake us. Christian gonna come up and be like, why you do that? Why don't you do this? Wait, that's not true. I ain't gotta tell them who I am at all. They ask me who I am, they're like, oh, I'm a disciple. I never heard of that. That's funny because you have read it if you read your book. I tell you what, count how many times you read disciple versus how many you read Christian in the Bible. Just count it. You don't get to 3 for Christian. I think you got like 200 something disciple times. 200 disciple was used 200 something times. But somehow, don't nobody know what a disciple is. Everybody know what a Christian is. Whoa. That's because people don't read the word. They don't pay attention. They just following traditions. All right, that's what it's all about. Damnable heresies. Keep going.
Many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingers not, and their damnation slumbers not.
So let's understand what's just said, right? So what's being said is you got damnable heresies that come in, right? Then after these heresies come in, people are gonna follow it, and because they follow it, and they're damnable in their heresies, their denominations, the way of the Most High God will be evil spoken of. So people are going to look and they're going to be like, oh, Christians are hypocrites. I don't do the Baptists. You know what? All Christians, they don't even agree with each other. Don't nobody know what's right. Then they say after that, they're going to make merchandise of you. So they're going to stand in the church and they're going to tell you, if you don't pay tithes, you robbed God. Right? You robbed God. I was talking to a lady the other day, or last week. She was telling me, she was like, I used to go to this church. It's right there on Jones and whatever. And she was like, and I paid tithes every week and all that good stuff. She said every 2 weeks I paid tithes, this, that, and other. And she was like, then I got into a bind and I needed, you know what I'm saying, my house was almost paid off, or house or car, one or two, almost paid off. She had one more payment, but she couldn't make that payment. And they told her that because she was behind on that payment, they going to take the whole shebang from her. One last payment, she said that thing be paid off, and it wasn't even a full payment. She was like, I just needed like $200 something. And I was like, that's it? I was like, oh, so tell me about that's probably easy money for your church. They probably just, shut that to you. She said, and I asked her, I was like, don't be lying to me now. She said, they asked her, do you pay tithes every week? I said, that's crazy to ask that question. That's crazy to ask that question. Just nuts to me. Like, do you pay tithes? Like, if you don't, then we ain't messing with you. So I thought that was just like crazy. But she was like, oh no, that's not it. So I was like, what else they say? After he asked me did I pay tithes, he said that he went and he checked. And I asked the secretary to check if I paid tithes. After it all checked out, they called me back and they said, okay, we'll give you the money. Gave her the money. Called back a little bit later. When you gonna pay that back? I said, yes. I've never heard of it.
That's out of line.
I've never heard of it. So they gave her a loan. Right? I just never heard, and I said, this is the most, you've just been made merchant. But the one thing, after that, she was, she was mad about it, and she stopped giving money. She said she paid her money, she paid the money back like they had, and then after that, she just stopped giving money. And so, she said after that, he started telling her that God is going to put a curse on her. You know what I'm saying? He is like that, it's not just, it wasn't like directed at her, but she would be there, and all of a sudden, he started preaching about curses. And she felt like he was, talking about her. Yeah, God is going to put a curse, and it's going to curse you, putting a curse on yourself, this, that, and other. I kept preaching about it when people don't give tithe. I said, that's a lie. She was like, one time, what'd she say? She said, one time, I didn't have no money to pay tithes, and I was just asking God. I said, God, just make a way for me to pay tithes. She was like, I found a wallet right there in the church parking lot. Got it? And it was exactly what my tithes amount was, and I put it in there. And I was thanking God about it. I was like, man, you know how slick the devil is. You know what I'm saying? You know how slick the devil is. He put you in front of a pastor to make you feel bad about not paying tithes. Tithes ain't even something that you required to do, right? So he make you feel bad about not paying tithes to the point that you pray to God about it. And then he presents an opportunity where he can answer the prayer by making you steal somebody's darn wallet. So now you just put sin on top of your desire, your incorrect desire. I was like, and all this because ain't nobody taught us nothing. You wouldn't even have a chance of recognizing that because nobody's taught you anything. All these people just sat there and lied. She was like, man, I didn't bounce around. She was like, I didn't try tarot cards and I didn't try this spirituality and this spirituality. She was like, I did all that stuff. I know. So of course you did. What else you gonna do? Anybody teaching you nothing? You can find all this stuff, find emptiness and vanity and all of it. I'm like, of course you did. What else we gonna do? Right? What else you gonna do? Man of God gotta tell her the truth. Some man of God, not necessarily me, I'm gonna tell it too though, but a man of God gotta tell you the truth.
That's cold. That's all I want.
It's a cold game.
Yeah.
Right? But that's what Peter is talking about. He's talking about somebody who's gonna come with damnable heresies, a damnable denomination, right? Who's gonna come in the way of the Lord is gonna be evil spoken of. So guess what her speech is against the Most High God now? Oh, no, I don't mess with no churches. They all hypocrites, right? So now it's evil spoken of, and then after that, make merchandise of you. Keep going from there.
Through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingers not, and their damnation slumbers not.
Mm-hmm.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah and 8 persons.
Right? Understand what he's saying. He's saying, listen, these boys who's doing this stuff, although you see them and it looks like they successful, don't make a mistake. Nobody gets by. That's what he's trying to get the point he's trying to make. He's like, if God didn't spare the angels, right? We think of the angels like, oh, look, the angels, they mess with God. God didn't spare them when they sinned. He's like, if God didn't spare the whole world, when the whole world was sinning, only thing he rescued is 8 that were with Noah. Right? Watch this. Keep going.
The preacher of righteousness bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly,
Mm-hmm.
and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them and seeing and hearing vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust until the day of judgment to be punished.
Right? Understand that. He knows how to separate the two. He can deliver the righteous and at the same time put these other boys in judgment. Right? What's an example of him doing that in our Old Testament, in our law?
Well, he did what?
When he delivered the righteous and in the same setting judged the ungodly.
Well, lie.
Lie, right? Those are examples that he gave. What else we got?
Let's see, Jehoshaphat.
Jehoshaphat, what we got with Jehoshaphat?
Well, he was with Ahab.
All right, yeah, Ahab got shot. All right, Jehoshaphat made it fine. Remember, he died in them things. All right?
He read.
Yeah, but got up out of there. You know what I'm saying? What about Egypt?
Absolutely.
Right? Everybody was there. Only the children of who got killed?
Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, only the children of the Egyptians.
Only the children of the Egyptians, right? Remember some of the plagues, we was with the Hebrew, but just because we Hebrew, none of our stuff got touched by some of them plagues. Some of them, you know what I'm saying? Some of them for everybody, but some of them, we didn't get touched by them, right? So the Most High God knows how to make that separation. And how do you think he's making that separation? Because somebody got to be sealed. And our foundation is, it goes by this seal. That the Most High God knows those that are his. And everybody else that name the name of the Most High God, well, that boy got to depart from iniquity. That's it. Right? If we can understand that, then we can cut through a lot of what the Bible is saying. It makes it clear for us. You just have to understand these foundational points. When you see stuff in the book that say foundation and basic points and all that stuff, that's what we're looking for. That's where you start. That's the start. It ain't the end. Don't mean that you solved it. It just means that this is where I can start. This is where I can build from. The rest of that stuff get confusing because you're trying to build on stuff that's not solid. You're trying to build on stuff that's not meant to be built on. right? You end up just making a mess, separating stuff, just trying to mix stuff up. Everybody doing that and they get confused and they give up, right? You look at it and you say, okay, well, I'm a Christian. It's that you still holding on to a Christian. You got to let all that stuff go. Where did you see Christian as a foundation? Let it go. I know that's what you thought, and I know that's what you've been taught, and I know you like it's synonymous with the Bible, and I understand that. Let it go. Start over. You know you've been lied to. Once you know that you've been lied to, start over. Look into the book. What does it actually say? If you don't see it, don't believe it.
That thing make me mad every time people think Christian equals Bible.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, but what else they gonna think? There's nothing like who telling the truth? What else are they gonna think? That's why the books say, man, you know what I'm saying? We gotta side at this stuff. Like, it's one thing to be mad at it and all that, but at the same time, it's pity. Who has a chance? It's not even set up for people to have a chance. You even look at this book, you don't see no examples of the average person sitting there with the scrolls, just open it up, reading it and stuff. It was never like that. We was always supposed to be led by somebody. Even when you look at the time of Joshua, Moses was about to go down. Most High God told Moses, he said, pick somebody to go in and out before the people. Because our people was always supposed to have some type of leader. And now we just been shepherdless, or might as well be shepherdless, because we got a whole bunch of shepherds that's just unworthy. They ain't got no chance. People just making a mess. Alright? That's why the word got to get out. We got to teach people, and this time, it's unfortunate, but we got to teach people you got to get it for self. You got to learn how to do it for self. And it's not even set up to do it that way. Let's talk about Daniel. It's Daniel chapter 5. At Daniel chapter 5, we're going to start at verse 1. We're going to try to read all of Daniel chapter 5. We'll try to shoot through this. Daniel chapter 5, verse 1. Watch what the book says.
Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000.
So this is descendant of Nebuchadnezzar.
Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels, which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. And the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, and of wood and of stone.
All right, the nerve of these people. They worship other gods and they got our stuff. Right? Watch this.
In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. And the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loose, and his knees smote one another.
All right, the joints of his loins were loose. His pelvic area, everything just got loose there. That boy and his knees smote each other. So all they got loose right here, and his knees just started knocking just like this. That boy was terrified, because he saw a hand just pop up, and it started writing on the wall. The man got terrified. He was like, what in the world? I ain't never seen nothing like that. Watch this.
The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers.
All right, bring them all in. Somebody tell me what this means.
And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show to me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing nor make known of the king the interpretation. Then was the king greatly troubled, Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house. And the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not your thoughts trouble you, nor let your countenance be changed. There is a man in your kingdom in whom the spirit of the holy gods, and in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And in the days of thy father, like and understanding and wisdom like the wisdom of the gods was found in him.
So they're talking about Daniel. Remember Daniel, when Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, he was the only one that could tell him what the dream was. Remember, Nebuchadnezzar didn't play. He was like, I'm not even going to tell you what I dreamt about. I want you to tell me what I dreamt about, and I want you to tell me what it means. Right? So he wouldn't even give him nothing to work with. So nobody could do it. But Daniel came by, and he was able to tell him what his dream was. On top of that, he told him what the dream meant. And Nebuchadnezzar later on started to serve the Most High God. Right? So now this is Belshazzar, and his woman was like, listen, you got somebody in your kingdom. Your pops had a similar issue, and he helped him out. This is who you need to talk to. Watch this.
Your father, the king, I say, your father made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Are you that Daniel which are of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of thee, that the Spirit of God is in you, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in you. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee, that you can make interpretations and dissolve doubts.
What verse is that?
16.
Okay, keep going.
Now if you can read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, you shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let your gifts be to yourself, and give your rewards to another.
Right? So Daniel said, No, I don't even want it. Right? He said, You can be the third ruler. Daniel was like, No, it's cool. Hold on to that. I don't even want it. But watch this.
Yet will I read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation.
What verse is that?
17.
17, keep going.
O thou king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar your father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would he slew, and whom he would he kept alive. Whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. But when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild donkeys, and they fed him, and they fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will.
All right? Hold on to that. Grab John chapter 5 real quick, verse 18. All right? So he just described for us Nebuchadnezzar. All right? Remember, we just read about how Nebuchadnezzar, he had it all. Right? And the man went crazy, went out of his mind, because the Most High God prophesied that that's exactly what happened. Then the man was out there eating like a darn animal, eating grass. Till the man looked up, and he was like, oh, my goodness, where have I been? All right? Then he knew that the Most High God was the Most High God. Right? That's when he started to really serve the man. This is John chapter 5, give me verse 18.
Therefore the Jews sought more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his father, making himself equal with God. Then answered Yahushua and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For what things soever he does, these also does the Son likewise. For the Father loves the Son, and shows him all things that he himself does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Father raises up the dead and quickeneth them, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. For the Father judges no man, but has committed all judgment unto the Son.
The Father judges no man, but has committed all judgment unto the Son. Watch this.
That all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honors not the Son honors not the Father which has sent him. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that hears my word and believe on him that sent me has everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life.
So that's what we look at. Right? When Daniel is speaking to the man, he's speaking to the Son. The Father had already looked up and was like, oh no, I know who I believe in. So now, all Daniel was trying to do is like, listen, let me tell you about, that's why he started off telling them about the pop. Listen, let me tell you about your pop. Right? Let me tell you what the man went through. You have a chance right now. Right? Watch this. Keep going. Go back to Daniel chapter 5, where we leave off.
Verse 21.
It's Daniel chapter 5, verse 21.
And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and the dwelling was like the wild donkeys. And they fed him with grass and oxen, like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. And you, his son, O Belshazzar, has not humbled your heart, though thou knew all these things.
You didn't do like your father did, right? Though you knew all this stuff. None of this stuff was a mystery to you. Right? You were aware of all of these happenings, and you still didn't humble your heart. Let's talk about it.
But you have lifted up yourself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before you, and you and your lords, your wives and concubines, have drunk wine in them, and you have praised the gods of silver, gold, brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, has thou
the God in
glorified.
whom hand your breath is in. Right? Most High God saying, I hold your breath. You stop when I want you to stop. He's like, you serving all these other gods. Meanwhile, a God who keep you going. Right? Watch it. Keep going.
You have not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written.
So he went through all that just to get to the actual writing. Right? It's a purpose. He's not trying to gain favor. He like, man, I don't want your gifts. He's not trying to tap dance for these people. It's different. He's not trying to show how smart he is. He's trying to let him know this is where you are. And I now, you know what I'm saying, you already know how this play out. You know what happened to your daddy. Now let me get to the writing and let me tell you. All right, let me just give you that preamble. Now let's get to the actual writing. Right? Watch this.
This is the writing that was written. Many, many tekel, upraising.
Right? Many tekel what?
Upraising. This is the interpretation of the theme. Many. God has numbered thy kingdom and finished it.
All right. Most High God numbered that thing. It's almost done.
Tekel. Thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting.
That boy said we weighing and you owe. You know what I'm saying? You in debt right now. Let's hear about it.
Paris. Thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians.
That got that. So now he let them know. Your days are numbered. You owe me. And the Medes and the Persians are about to take what you owe. Period. Right? That's the prophecy he wanted them to know. Watch this.
Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a gold chain about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler of the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 80 years old.
That night, right? They made that man third, and that night killed him.
82 years old.
Right? 62. Right? Killed the man.
Darius is old.
Alright, watch this. Keep going.
It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him.
Right? So you gotta understand how it's set up, how the Most High God set it up. Daniel, who's just along with the magicians and the dream catchers and all that weird stuff, he's just among them. All the people just see him as one of the magicians. Right? But he's famous because he helped out Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, cool. But he's still nobody. He's just one of the magicians. Not nobody, but he's just one of the magicians, right? Okay, cool. So they call him in. Daniel now comes in. He say, yo, this is what the prophecy. Your stuff about to get taken from you. That night, they make him third. They make it all official that night. Right after that, man get killed. So now when Darius take over, he gonna ask, All right, that was the king. Who else running the show? Who know how to make this thing run? Who in charge? Well, Daniel third. Oh, all right, you third? All right, well, listen, I don't want no damage. Book say, I don't want no damage. In other words, I don't want to deal with these people. That's your people, right? I don't want to deal with them. So I'm going to set up 3 presidents, right? Y'all handle the affairs. People come to you, you deal with it, right? But underneath y'all, I'm going to have the actual rulers of the people. So you got the rulers of the actual people, and then they come to the presidents when they got a problem that rises that high. And the decision got to be made. And the 3 presidents are the ones that report to the king, Darius. So now Daniel was made ruler of all this stuff just out of that one moment. And that's how the Most High God wanted to set up. All right, the way that we're going to end up escaping our captivity, or not escaping, being released from our captivity, is through these moves that the Most High God is making with Daniel. Right? Is that the end of the chapter?
Well, we in 6 now. We started another chapter.
Okay, give me 6 chapter 1 then. I mean 6 verse 1.
It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage.
Mm-hmm.
Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because an excellent spirit was in him.
Mm-hmm.
And the king thought to set him over the whole realm.
Right? King was like, man, I might just put you over. He thought, you know what I'm saying? I might just put you over the whole thing. This whole area right here, I might just put you over the whole thing. King looking like, man, you got an excellent spirit. Man was wise. Took his time with stuff. Wasn't, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't out there trying to rush and make rash decisions. Man was just wise. Like, all right, man, let's think this through. Let's try to figure it out. Man had the spirit in him. He had wisdom. He was able to look at it and be like, he could look at the thing, and the Most High God just give it to him like, nah, it's the direction we got to go. Right? They looking like, oh, no, you can run a show. All right? I might just give you the whole realm. All right, let's see.
Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom.
Right, presidents and the princes, they're looking like, oh no, we gotta set him up. Right, they sought to find a occasion against him. Right, because they're looking like, oh no, he got too much cachet. He got too much clout. We gotta kind of take that away. It's looking bad for us. That's how people look. When you gotta stand next to somebody and they outperform you, they looking like, oh no, okay, now we can't have that. Right, you can't have it. You gotta start setting something up. You gotta make it happen. Let's see.
But they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him.
Mm-hmm.
Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God.
Right? The only way we're going to find occasion against him is we find it against the law of his God. Does that mean they're going to find it by Daniel breaking his law? No, they're going to find it quite the opposite. By Daniel following his law, and following his law breaks their law. Right? That was the only occasion that they're going to find something. And that's what we want. There's no avoiding that. The problem is what we do is we compromise to be able to stay in good graces with people. We compromise God's law or what God's instruction is to us. Right? And that's where we go wrong. Daniel said no. And then we want them to be in a position where the only thing wrong they got for us is that we obey the Most High God. That's a good position. It might feel scary. It might feel like people are going to attack you. It might feel like you're about to lose. It might feel like everything's going to be taken away from you. But that's the position God wants you to be in. That's the one where God going to protect you. God going to protect you. I'm not talking about the devil make you feel protected by God. That's where God is going to really protect you. And you might go through some ups and downs in that. But at the end of it, that's where it's rewarding that. And that's what we got to hold on to. Right? Real quick, Titus chapter 2. Try to wrap this up real quick. It's Titus chapter 2. Give me verse 2. Give me verse 6. Titus chapter 2, verse 6. This is Titus chapter 2, verse 6. I was thinking, you know what I'm saying? I was thinking about getting a mic. You know what I'm saying? One of them, the news mics. You know what I'm saying? Got the little, they be having like the mic and they got the triangle on it with the logo and all that. I was thinking about getting one of them things. Taking one of, taking the new camera I got. You know what I'm saying? taking it right over to these churches every Sunday. Just ask them questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not even trying to make them feel stupid. You know what I'm saying? On the spot. We don't make them feel stupid now. But now on the spot, just ask them a question like, what's the history of the devil? You know what I'm talking about? Just let them explain. Just let them just whoop-de-wop that thing right out of their darn mouth. Oh, well, he was God's highest angel. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord, you know Christians be getting when they feel like they got something, they be on there. And the Lord, let me tell you, the Lord, he'll do that to you. The Lord lets you sit there and stand right next to him. And you'll think you start wanting to be God. And he'll let you stand there for a while. But oh, God, honey. God will put your butt down and send you back down to Eden. And turn you into a snake. Yeah, that's right. That's what he did. He put him on his belly. Let me tell you, did you know snakes used to have legs? Not until God cursed them.
I heard that.
No, you know all these lies these people be coming up with. These people be telling them lies. I just wanna get them on camera and just so, because you know what, people wiggle from it because they don't see it, right? Hey, hush. People wiggle around this stuff because they don't see it. But I figure if we get somebody on camera, get people on camera weekly, you know what I'm saying, where they can see, oh, this is really what people believe. Regular people just like me. Matter of fact, I know Miss Johnson. You know what I'm saying? This is what we believe. And then we can just break down the error in thought. This is why they believe this. This is where it really come from. This, that, we ain't got to argue with. I don't want to argue with nobody. I just want to get them on record. Thank you, I appreciate you. Oh, I'm going to light your butt up behind your back, though. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to light your darn butt up behind your back. Don't even worry about it. I appreciate it, though. Right? And maybe we'll get lucky enough to get one of these pastors on there. Oh, goodness gracious. Pastor's smart, though. These boys ain't slipping. You know what I'm saying? They ain't going to get caught slipping. Some of these pastors don't even put their sermons online. You know what I'm saying? Because they know, they was like, yeah, I be saying some crazy stuff now. I don't need nobody, you know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody trying to come in here and get on my scam. You know what I'm talking about? I'm making a lot of money. I don't need nobody coming in here and got something to say. Hey, smart, we try to get him on camera. Captain, I ain't got no time for that. He probably gonna tell his members, you know, but you know what I'm saying? I was thinking about that thing. I was like, man, them things probably gonna cost too much. Get you a little mic, put a little thing on top of it. You know what I'm saying? They'll be out there, they think we official. They'll be happy to jump in front of the camera. Like, oh yeah, me first. Let me answer some questions. Like, yeah, okay. Answer all the questions you want. Where we at?
Titus 2:6.
This is Titus chapter 2. Give me verse 6. Let me see what the book says.
Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded.
He said you got to be sober-minded. What's sober-minded mean?
Unaffected by drugs and being drunk and all of this stuff. Just being in a good space.
You got to be in a good space.
Natural, good space.
You got to be clear, right? You got to have a clear thought process. That's what sober-minded means. Just be thinking clearly. You can't be thinking clearly. You high. You drunk. Right? Taking a whole bunch of medication that's prescribed to you and you overdosing on it. Right? Taking too much of it. Right? Keep going.
In all things showing yourself a pattern of good works.
Mm-hmm.
Doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned.
You cannot condemn it. Right? People might try, but you have sound speech. You say the right things about the book, not the right things to people, the right things about the book, and guess what? At the end of the day, you can't condemn it. People can say, I don't like what you said. People can say, I don't agree with what you said, but they can't look at it and be like, that's wrong. You notice everybody, a lot of arguments I have, you're not going to have a person flat out say, you wrong. They just going to say, yeah, but you could say it a different way. Or, I don't like it like that. Yeah, but it can also mean this or this, that, and other. It's very rare that a person can come out and just say, no, you did wrong about that. Because you need to have speed. We have to be able to think about what we're saying and just be like, okay, hold on. What's right? I understand what people like. I understand what makes people uncomfortable. I understand all these things. But at the end of the day, what's correct? And then that's how we got to speak. Keep going. Watch this. This is all the stuff that Daniel was doing. That's all Titus is telling us.
Sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you.
All right? Ain't that how they felt about Daniel? They looking like, man, we going to have to get this boy. Ain't no way we going to get him because the man is good. You know what I'm saying? The only way we going to get him is he keep the law. That's how we have to have the people, because they was ashamed because they have no bad thing to say about it. What else we got?
Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters,
We good there. Grab 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 13. This 1 Peter chapter 3, give me verse 13.
And who is he that will harm you if you be followers of that which is good?
Mm-hmm.
But and if you suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye.
Right? If you suffer, if these people get Daniel because he keep the law, he said, oh, you ought to be happy. Right? Keep going.
And be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled.
He said, but don't be afraid of their terror, neither. If they get you because you keeping the law, because you doing exactly what the Most High God say, it might get tough. But don't be afraid. All right? Ain't nothing to be afraid of. They get you for that reason. Keep going.
But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear.
Because people going to ask. When people get to attacking you because you're doing the right thing, people be like, how do you still believe in your God? How do you still do it? What Job's wife say to him?
Just curse God and die.
Just curse him and die. Because Job was challenged with some stuff. And Job maintained his innocence through it all. So he's looking like, I'm being punished for doing the right thing. Same thing his wife was thinking. So her mindset was, how do you still trust in your God? That's why Peter said, always be ready to have a reason for anybody who questions your hope. He is supposed to be at that moment, Job was supposed to be able to break it down like, oh, no. See, this is how it works. Right? Keep going. Let's see.
But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready to always give answer to every man that asks you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. Having a good conscience, that whereas they speak evil of you as evildoers, that may be ashamed that falsely accuse your good conversation in the Messiah.
Right? That's what we want. It should turn to them in a way that they are ashamed because they got to tell lies on us. They got to falsely accuse us. That should be the goal. You can't find a lick of dirt. You got to misrepresent. You got to make up stuff. You got to dream up all this stuff, but you can't find dirt on me. Right? Because we obey the Most High God. That has to be the goal. As long as it ever takes, that has to be all of our goals, to be that clean. Right? Keep going.
For it is better if the will of God be so that you suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing.
Right? You're going to suffer one way or the other. But if you do got to suffer, it's better if you suffer for the will of the Most High God when it comes to doing the right thing rather than doing evil. Right? Let's finish up at Luke. Give me Luke chapter 23. Give me Luke 23 verse 13. This is Luke chapter 23 verse 13. Then we'll finish up with Daniel next week.
And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said unto them, Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverts the people. And behold, I, having examined him before you, have found no fault in this man touching those things where you accuse him.
Right? He said, you brought this man to me, and you said that he pervert the people. He said, but I looked at the man, I examined him, and I found nothing. I didn't find no evidence of what y'all talking about. Right? They had to falsely accuse the man. This is talking about Yahushua. They had to falsely accuse him. This is where we want it. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
No, nor yet Herod, for I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him.
Right? Sent them to Herod. Herod said the same thing. Nothing worthy of death is for the man. They had to tell a lie. Watch this.
I will therefore chastise him and release him.
Mm-hmm.
For of necessity he must be released unto them at the feast.
Mm-hmm.
And they cried all at once, saying, Away with this man, and release unto us Barabbas, who for a certain sedition made in the city, and for murder was cast into prison.
Right? Sometimes our suffering is not just for us. All this stuff is so complex, and it's not like God has any responsibility to let you in on the whole plan. You just have to trust the man and go with it. But if you look at Yahushua's situation, And you imagine that any of our situation could be at least some slice of this. In Yahushua's situation, him suffering had multiple purposes. For some people, it was so that the book could be fulfilled. For some people, it was so that people could be saved. For some people, it was that put them in a position so that they could be sinners. And all these things are constantly playing out. You might be suffering just so somebody can punch you in your face for no reason. Just so they can be named as a sinner. And they could be condemned and go to hell for that. Or you might be suffering so that somebody else can see you suffering and stay strong throughout the whole thing. And maybe after you even die, they look at it and be like, man, that was a man of God. You notice how, you know what I'm saying, like even the worst sinners, you look at even the worst of the sinners, right? When they die, oh, they're the greatest person in the world. How much more for a person that's completely righteous? When they die, people be like, oh, goodness, I mean, he really was. And sometimes you just suffering to fulfill the book. Right? Book gotta be fulfilled. I mean, think about it. Book gotta be fulfilled. Would make sense if Martin Luther King came out and he actually like got economic inclusion for us. Whole book thrown off if that happened. We just out here thriving, you know what I'm saying? We equal with these people. Wouldn't make sense. Right? So, you gotta die. You never know what's going on. But we so focused on our plan and our life, and you know what? If I'm suffering, that means God don't love me. No, you don't have a book for that. If you suffering, that means you suffering. I got that. If you're doing the right thing, that means you suffering for righteousness. If you're doing the wrong thing, that means you ought to be suffering. If you're doing the wrong thing, you not suffering, you ought to be scared. All right, this is the book. We good. There any questions? All right, let's pray out.